Have you ever wondered how some people can go from an average life to a great life? Have you ever wondered how some people could be right in the midst of warfare and yet they continue to worship God? Have you ever wondered how some people are pivoting through this pandemic in a successful way? I'm Jewel Diamond Taylor. I'm the host of my series called Inner Views. And I promise today you're going to hear some great nuggets. You're going to hear some things that you can add to your toolbox. So stay tuned as I bring to you right now my guest from Maryland. Be sure to hit the button and share this with your circle of family and friends. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. Why don't you stop right now and share this message today? I am your host, Jewel Diamond Taylor, with my Inner View series. And I am so blessed today that I'm right here in California and I get to connect with an amazing young lady in Maryland. She is an amazing author. She's an entrepreneur. She's a publisher of many Christian books, a leadership trainer, kingdom builder, pastor of Destiny International Christian Church in Maryland. She's a wife and a mother who also became my goddaughter after many of my countless visits to the East Coast for my speaking engagements. Her hospitality, her prayers, oh my God, our amazing conversations, her laughter, her perspective, her anointed wisdom has knitted our hearts together with love and faith. Please help me welcome Dr. Dawn Harvey.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. You definitely had to be with me. We've done this many times in the past, but we're in a new season. We are in a new season with our personal lives. We're in a new season with our ministries and our business development in this pandemic. We're learning to pivot. And in our short time together today, Dr. Harvey, could you, I want to start off first with a low point, a high point, and a turning point in your life.
Wow.
Point, a high point, and a turning point.
Well, what's interesting is, and she is always so great at giving everybody else their flowers and their accolades, but I'm telling you, Dr. Jewel Diamond Taylor God used her to resuscitate me. So I'm going to start with the low point. When I met Dr. Taylor, I was introduced by my god sister, Michelle McAllister. And I got that last name right for the wedding. So I can get a brownie point on that one, right? And she introduced us and she's like, you got to meet her. She just spoke. And so she calls Dr. Taylor, and Dr. Taylor allows us to come to the hotel. And of course, you're tired. If you know anything about speaking, you're tired afterwards and need some decompressed time. And so she came down, and listen, I had called off a wedding to someone that I love. I didn't call the wedding off because I didn't love him. I called the wedding off because it wasn't the right person to marry. You can love the wrong person, let's be clear.
Come on, somebody.
And so I had my hair dyed black. I had a black ponytail. I had on a black suit, and I had on a black trench coat that I loved with a hoodie. I was dressed I looked like I was grieving. And not even realizing I was functioning, but I wasn't living. And the first thing she said to me is that you have a glory cloud around you. And it was interesting to me that she could see my destiny, even though I was living my grief. And she just began to minister to me and speak life to me and help me break the bondages of life that are so evident in everyone's life, because we all experience trauma, we all experience loss. And what happens is that we learn to live with the trauma instead of be delivered from it. And so I had learned to live with it. And it was her teachings and her time, her conversations that helped me see that glory was on the other side. So when she said there's a glory cloud around you, it was really God's way of saying, I'm going to use this relationship to bring you out of this dark place. And it was nowhere but up from there. She encouraged me. My first sermon, she encouraged my first book. She did the book cover, and she just basically pulled me out of where I was. and used her wisdom to do it. And listen, and she didn't sugarcoat nothing. Like, it won't, no, come on, baby, you're gonna be all right. No, it was, what are you gonna do about your life? And so what's the plan? Okay. And are you executing the plan? And did God give you a plan? It was more strategic than it was emotional. And we don't realize that a lot of times we go to talk to people because we want an emotional release when you need a strategic deliverance.
Come on, Tasha.
So it
Oh
was
my God.
important that she didn't emotionally make me codependent, but she gave me a strategic deliverance so that I could fly in every category, whether she was there or not. Very dark place for me.
Wow, Don. And I remember that. And yeah, you had on your mourning clothes.
I was grieving.
And it's just so amazing that, when you tell that story, as you say, he's a strategic God. Look how many times you picked me up at the airport and I stayed at your home and we had conversation after conversation after conversation, crying after crying, singing, laughing, praying, not knowing that that was your crucible time, that was your on the wheel, the potter's wheel time. And to look at you now. So you shared your low point. What was the high point for you, honey?
I would have to say my children. I'm
Oh,
over.
yes.
My children are, I feel like they're God's gift to me. I had cancer when I was 15. They said I'd never be able to have children biologically. And by some miracle, I kept getting pregnant, but because of the condition of my body from the cancer, I couldn't carry the children.
Mhm, mhm.
And after my fifth stillborn, I carried that child the longest. And I thought he was going to make it. He didn't make it. I adopted a little girl named Destiny, thinking, okay, this is the only way this is going to happen. And she's amazing. And then after I adopted one for God, he gave me one of my own, and I carried my son, Emmanuel, for 7 months and 3 weeks, went into premature labor, and they thought I was going to lose this sixth child. And I said, yeah, no, I can't see God doing that. I told God I'd give him back to him.
Mm,
And,
mm.
and he came out full term, lungs fully developed. I mean, he came out like he came out 6 pounds, 3 ounces. When I left the hospital in 3 days, he left the hospital in 3 days. So even though he was 7 months and 3 weeks in utero, God had expedited his development so he could
Mhm.
survive once he was born. And so that was a miracle to me. And they've been amazing to me. Someone asked me the other day, they were like, do you want more children? I said, yeah, God gave me 2 great kids. I'm not going to, try that third one and it don't turn out right. So, and you raising people's DNA. Let's be clear. They're your children and you love them, but they got their daddy's DNA. You better check that DNA before you have these kids.
I know that's right.
They have been the light of my life. They're both still home. My son's building his business. My daughter's in college. She's going to pursue her master's. She's finishing up. She already has her associate. She's pursuing a bachelor's, and she's going to get her master's in art so she can teach. But they have just been amazing children. My son just started dating seriously for the first time. He's dated, but this is the first serious one at
Yeah.
20. And they've been dating about 8 months. I'm traumatized, but we're going to live. And just a blessing. So for me to be able to see the love of God through them
Yes.
has given me, I believe, honestly, the reason I call it high point, my children centered me. The cancer at 15, because it came back more than once, brain, lung, and uterine cancer, it traumatized me. So I kind of was doing everything, living as quick because it's going to come back. Let me do everything I can. I was running
I
to do
see.
everything I could. I wasn't centered. I feel like God used my children to center me and give me a broader outlook on life versus death chasing me.
Yeah, that is so true. They do bring you into the moment, and they do allow you to take your sense of urgency and responsibility off of yourself, because now you've got this little human looking at you to be fed, to be guided, to be nurtured. And I've watched them grow up, and yes, they are amazing young people. Now, everybody, Dr. Don, we have several turning points. Is there one particular turning point in your life that you could speak to?
Yeah, when Jesus came and got me with my crazy self. Listen. And I thank him every day. I came up from, I grew up in humble beginnings. So I was very aggressive professionally. And it's interesting because I wasn't thinking about kids or anything. I had children late, like 29, 32, 31. So the first 30 years of my life, I was chasing life, literally. And I was super professionally aggressive. And in 2000, started pursuing, I've done everything from 12 years old. I was selling something. I shelled pecans and sold them to the candy lady so she could do cupcakes, and had enough entrepreneurial sense at 12 to go pick them at the school lot, shell them, bag them, and go door to door to the women. You know, back then we had these places called the candy house, the candy lady. And she had the little penny candy that you could go get from them, or the little cupcakes or whatever. And so I had enough sense to say, where's she buying her pecans? So I'm a serial entrepreneur. I was doing that young. So I've sold.
That was in North Carolina, right?
I was in North Carolina. Yes, yes. And listen, guys, I'm 51. So we're talking about age here. And so where we were from, we didn't have summer jobs until Manpower. So we primed tobacco, we picked cucumbers, things like that, to make money initially. And so I did those things. When I say humble beginnings, I mean humble beginnings. But it put something in my mind that I'm never going to struggle the way my mom had to struggle with us. And so I became super professionally aggressive. By the time I was 17, I was a night manager in a restaurant, and really just did everything I could in that company to climb the ladder. Ended up with Marriott, and just thought I was doing a thing. Took my entrepreneurship to another level in 2000, and thought I was just rocking it out for Christ. And in 2006, rocking it out for me. And I'm never gonna let my mom, I'm jet setting, I'm flying off, FedEx got me all over the place, Marriott, I'm doing the thing, making this money, I'm young, I don't have any responsibilities, I'm gonna rule the world. And in 2006, God started tugging on my heart, and things like tithing, little stuff he was saying to me, and I was dating the young man that I was grieving when I met you, and he was in ministry. And so I thought that I was studying and preparing to be his wife because he was in ministry. And one day we were at this huge conference, and I still carried Renee Allen, my good friend Renee Allen, took this picture, and the People's MC. And I was overcome by the Holy Spirit. They were singing the song Shekinah Glory, yes. And, was just overcoming the spirit. And I could see everything happening in the room, but they said my eyes were closed. I don't know how, because I described everything to them. It was just like the presence of the Lord fell on me, and I gave God a yes. Now, here's the thing about that. I really didn't know what I was saying yes to. I kept hearing God say, I just want your yes. There are things I need from you. I desire from you. I just want your yes. At the time, I was an armor bearer. I was cleaning the bathrooms at my church. I was the director of new members. So I was doing I'm a trainer by nature. I've been doing it all my life for corporate companies and for myself. So training, leadership training, team building, all of that is what I do. And so I loved what I was doing in church because this is my lane. And so I said yes to God that day. Within 3 years, I was pastoring. And it's amazing that one yes to God can change the trajectory of your life. And here's the plan, is that it was already planned. I just wasn't in alignment with God's plan. The yes put me in alignment with it. And I am not living what I put on my dream board in the world.
Say it.
But the life I have is better than what I put on my dream board.
Come on, I love it.
It's because I wanted to pursue corporate. I wanted to own a hotel chain. That was my dream. But what I'm doing now, I feed hundreds of people every week, hundreds. I have 46 stores that pickups that I facilitate so other people can feed people, because we can't feed everybody. You need help. We can't keep every child. You need to help people get daycares. We can't feed every person. You need to help them. And so now I'm not just touching my life as others. And there's a commercial where they say, how does a nurse save 1,000 people? She teaches other people to be a nurse. It's kind of like what you did with me. You taught me how to go use my gift to encourage other people so they wouldn't be where I was. And so that saying yes to God, it just changed the course of my life, literally. Like my mom, it took her about 7 years before she was like, so this is really what you're supposed to be doing, huh? This
Yeah,
is it.
she
She's
saw your,
sold out now.
yeah, she saw your commitment, your faithfulness, and I've always seen that in you. And I want you to tell my audience how you help people go from being good to the best to being great, because that is an evolution. We think we're doing good, we're doing average, we're putting forth a little effort. Then there's another level called best. Then there's another level called great, like Tony the Tiger. So tell my audience about your Embrace Your Greatness program and resources.
Well, yeah, I started Embrace Your Greatness in 2006 because God had brought me through so much. I really felt, well, let me say this. I was standing in my kitchen window. I'll never forget it. And I was picking my kids up at 5 in the morning, dropping them off at 5 in the morning, picking them up at 6, 7 at night. And I was just overwhelmed this particular day. And I said, God, I remember tears rolling down my face, and I slid down my refrigerator and said, this cannot be the life that you want me to have. If you get me out of this, I will help other people like me get out of it. And so once God took me through those steps and introduced you and a couple of other strategies in my life, once he took me through those steps, I packaged this rescue plan, so to speak,
Yes, yes.
and started sharing it with women in a cold Greenbelt library. And now we have been all over the globe. God has just really blessed us to have an at-home curriculum. And so basically what it does is first we tap into the deficits, that the areas that need help, and we release the blame game. And we have so many people who have graduated from the program that now have their own ministries, their own churches. Some of my first ladies, some of them, are head of companies. We have one that's getting ready to be captain in the military, who I met in a hotel room with a broken nose and an abusive marriage. And now she's getting ready to be captain in the United States Navy. And so when they told her it wouldn't work if she didn't go to school, when they told her that she couldn't achieve at the route she was going. And so now they're saying, we'll make you captain or you can retire. You have a choice. Who gets choices like that?
That's
And
great.
so just allowing people to, resolve the internal issues and the damage from our childhood and our past, because what I found with Embrace Your Greatness is that a lot of people were on roller coaster success because their foundation had cracks in it.
That's it.
And so
We're so in sync, Dawn, because that's what I'm doing with my weekly class called INNERview, is, as you said, helping them with their deficits, helping them to recognize where there's holes in their foundation, helping them to not blame or shame themselves. But once you recognize it, you take the power away so you can elevate from good to best to great. And I just love the synchronicity of our lives, that you're doing it and I'm doing it. And we need the multiplication factor. We want those that are watching this to say, you know what? They're talking about the very thing that I want to do, that gift that we all have. And I love that you have the 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit. You've got the knowledge, you've got the fortitude, you've got counsel, you've got understanding, you have devotion, and you have the fear of the Lord. And so that combination, not to mention your earthly experience of being in supervision and leadership, management, man, you bring so much out of your toolbox to help women. And I love that success story about the captain. Now, we need our audience to know that you are the type of woman they need to connect with. Oh. We need our audience to know that your gifts can be released. We want our audience to know that we're not the only ones being used as kingdom builders. We want our audience to know that there are so many testimonies like yours and mine where we bounce back, where we trust God no matter what it looks like. And I believe there's somebody that is a success seeker watching. I believe there's somebody saying, will I ever get through this? Will I ever get over this? There's someone probably sliding down their refrigerator like you did to the floor and said, Lord, there's got to be something more. And there is something more. I would ask you, my dear goddaughter, dear Dr. Dawn, let me just ask you a couple of lightning questions. Okay. How have you pivoted during this pandemic?
Trust. I have really had to trust God. Because here's the thing, there's no playbook for a pandemic, but the Lord told me it's not his first one.
Yeah.
So he's like, I've done this already several times. So I'm a novice at this. And so I really honestly paced myself. I didn't try to outplan the pandemic. I did not try, you know what I mean? Trying to, okay, when this come out, we'll do that. No, I did what the season required. And I knew that this isn't going to last forever. One of the things that God gave me early on that has got me through life is everything is a season. If you have challenges with your children, you can't afford daycare. You're only going to need daycare for 4 years. What happens is that we feel like that's the rest of our life. We get depressed, anxiety. People commit suicide over temporary situations because they haven't temporary situations that if they had held on one more day, the situation could have changed. And so, because I know I would have lost my mind being a single mom after my divorce if I didn't realize he can only be 3 years old one time, you know? And so I put everything in seasons. And so for the initial pandemic, when we were shut down and everything was at a standstill, I came up with a strategy for that season. When the season shifted, when things changed, I came up with the strategy for the next season. I didn't get married to the time span we were in or the pandemic. And we're shifting again with our church. And so I have used that, you know, everything is a season, and that I just need to come out. Chief Apostle Aunt Savannah, you remember her, God rest her soul. She used to tell me, I don't need you to be perfect. I just need you to make it to the other side of through. I just need you to get to the other side, and you're going to stumble. The Bible says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. He didn't say run. It's like God is saying, I'm not even going to let you go through the valley quickly. And it's not that he wants us punished. He wants us developed. Absolutely. And so I just took it in seasons.
I love that. I love that so much. If you were to complete the sentence, I did that, what would it be? I did that. And I know there's so many things I have seen you operate.
But you know what I want to say? I healed. I healed. I did that. I'm not a hostage to my past. I'm not a hostage to my mistakes. I am not thin-skinned. I don't let the devil punk me with my past. I healed. I did that thing. And that was some work. That was some work, because you know you better than anyone else. And you will condemn yourself for the things that God forgave you for. And so it was amazing to me when I realized and woke up that I like me. I like me. I like who I've become. And even if it could have been different getting here, I'll take it. I'll take it. So for me, it was the healing that made me feel like I got the victory.
I love that. What is the late? Because you know, when I come to your home, just books everywhere. What is the latest book that has really been feeding you?
Oh my goodness. It's goodness, it's about the devil. It's what is the name? It's oh my goodness, it's right on my it's Napoleon Hill's book about devil.
I read that book too. The word devil is in there. Oh my God, something about don't believe the devil, or
but it's but basically it's telling you how the enemy uses conversations. It's on the tip of my tongue. It uses so conversations to stop you from doing what it is that you've been called to do. And when I read the book, I was thinking that what he does is he calls you to be in limbo. And
that book was not published until way after he
passed, because his family was afraid that, I don't know if they thought that outwitting the devil.
That's it, outwitting the devil.
Outwitting the devil. I think that they were afraid that maybe spiritually the supernatural warfare, because he had a lot of warfare. They just didn't want the battle. But yeah, it came out years later.
And it's not as popular as his other books, but that book really blessed my soul. I loved the presentation of it, like it's like a conversation. Yeah, outwitting the devil. That's in my notes. Dear one, if you had a billboard for everybody to see on the highway, what would that billboard say?
It's never too late to begin again.
Never too late. You know what? That's going to segue into my next question, because I was at your wedding. Oh my gosh. And I remember praying with you many, many times that God would deliver you an awesome man of God, and he did. And so for you to say it's never too late, how would you encourage women that are waiting for their Boaz, waiting for that man, waiting for that loving relationship?
Well, I'm gonna say, you might not know you did this for me, but what the first thing I'm going to say is that you have to become whole if you're going to invite somebody into your life, because
Yes.
we don't want people's broken pieces, so we shouldn't give ours away. And one of the things that Dr. Taylor said to me one time, she broke my little feelings real bad, but it was really good, because the truth will set you free, but it'll make you mad first. So the truth set me free, but I was mad first.
Yeah, you were
But
mad.
I was mad too. She said, Dawn, no one is coming to rescue you. You're not in no castle. Ain't nobody coming. You have to get your life the way, and I'm paraphrasing, but she basically said, you are responsible for what your life is supposed to look like. You can't wait for something to happen to make your life look like it is. You have to do that. And so I did the work to become whole. So when he came, he didn't have to deal with my broken pieces. And it was almost like saying, no one's going to make you feel okay when this happens. No one's going to wipe your tears when that happens. When he comes, you should be an asset, not a liability. And so one of the things I'll say is that if you have an area in your life that's challenged, or if you want to be married, honestly, to the point where it's now consuming you, then you're not ready.
Then you're not ready.
I wasn't ready to get married until it was a blessing, not a requirement.
Come on, teach, Pastor. Teach.
When it was a requirement, it meant I needed it for my life. It added value. It defined me. I'm supposed to be married at this age. That's a requirement. When I got to the point where, all right, God, it's me and you, however this thing go down is however this thing go down, and I'm good. When it got to the point where it was a blessing, not a requirement, then I knew I was ready. And look, it took me a while to get ready, guys. I'm super transparent, because my father left when I was young. My mom and dad divorced when I was young. So I didn't have abandonment issues like the traditional type. I didn't want a father figure. That's not what I wanted. But I did want the covering of a man in a way that allowed people in my life that shouldn't have been there. Because they didn't even qualify for the covering, but we will try to take people and put them in our vision of our life, whether they fit or not, and like we're going to change them. And so for me, it was what Dr. Taylor taught me, is that no one's coming to rescue you. You're not in Vietnam. You ain't no hostage. They not sending nobody to rescue you. You better get your life together. And it changed my perspective.
I remember you.
She got me like that. She got me done. Ain't nobody coming to rescue. I said, Mom, remember that Anita Baker song with the fairy tale? She's like, this not a fairy tale. This is life, and no one's coming to rescue you.
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
I tell some of my ladies in my counseling, you got to get a life before you become a wife.
That part.
You got to have a life. You have to be fulfilling yourself. You have to show up and shine as God has designed you to be, so that you can find a complement, not someone who is, as you said, picking up your broken pieces and you picking up his broken pieces. No, that's a hot mess, so I just celebrate your marriage and your children that are doing so well, your ministry. And share with us, how many books have you, you're a publisher, how many books, Christian books, have you published?
People?
Authors.
Yeah, over 300 people. And I published 8 of my own, over 300. But I want to say one thing.
And when I met you, you had no books.
I had no books, no hope, no light, no. I was walking around the earth just trying to make it. And but from a young child, I will never forget it. Ned Battle used to always tell me, there's something different about you. Now, I grew up in the projects. I was wearing resale clothes, hand-me-down clothes. So there was nothing outside visible, but he used to always tell me, there's something different about you. There's something
on the inside.
On the inside. And it's the same thing that you said when you met. But I want to segue real quick back to one of the things you were saying about relationships and change. One of the other things Dr. Taylor said to me, the second thing that I always kept in my mind with relationships is, there's no sign. I'm like, Mom, how will I know? How will I know if he's the right guy? How will I know if he's going to do me right? How will I know if he's telling the truth? And she's like, Dawn, there's no sign. You're going to have to walk out every decision you make in a relationship. So choose well. So guys, you got to choose well. You have to use a discerning spirit, because I was like, there's not going to be on a sign on them that say good guy, bad guy, wrong guy, right? There's no sign, Dawn. There's no sign. And
You
so,
don't like it when I told you that. Yes.
yeah,
You're
the truth
such a
will set you free,
wonderful.
but it'll make you mad first.
Yeah, yeah.
You remember
I
that,
just,
Mom? Dr.
of
Taylor?
course I do. I remember that because, I didn't birth any daughters, but to have you and my other beautiful goddaughters to pour into is just such a joy and a delight, because I wish I had a jewel diamond when I was a young girl. And to see women really activating their faith and activating the lessons, applying what I have poured into them. Not that I'm so smart, but this has been my passion. And to hear you, that food is still tasting good, it's still feeding you, and you still are able to pass it along to others, is a great honor to my soul to know that God has used our relationship in such a wonderful and loving way. Um, I love you so much, and I would just like for you to close with two things. Give us a success lesson for those that are entrepreneurs, because many Christians are now shifting and pivoting and saying, okay, maybe I can't have my church anymore, or maybe I'm realizing that I do have a gift, an anointing, but I've got to make a living. And every time I would come to your home, you were selling this, and then you were selling that, and then you were selling this, and I was like, this girl right here. And I think I've seen recently in social media that you are selling a new product. What are you selling, marketing now?
So for about 14 years, every year in November, the end of November, I take off from Thanksgiving to Valentine's Day traveling for speaking. I did, well, COVID shut all that down, but for years I would take off from Thanksgiving to Valentine's Day to spend with my children, to recoup, and to plan out my next year. And I used to use, I still use these these oils that were out of the Bible, frankincense and some other oils, and I would mix them together. And they always helped me concentrate. They always helped me be calm. They took the tension away. And so I saw some other things on social media that people were attributing to biblical practices that I thought concerned me a little bit. And I got convicted in my spirit. And God said, well, you've had the recipe for 14 years and you haven't introduced it to anybody.
Okay.
And so I have I actually have them here, but I have candles. And I sell one product in different containers. So you can decorate your house however you want, but it's the only recipe I have. And it basically helps with anxiety, stress. It's called Clarity, and it has all biblical ingredients in it. People have used it to sleep. I have a room spray. I have different size candles, but people literally, I just had someone call me today and tell me she hadn't slept in a week and she got her candle and she slept last night.
Yeah.
And so, but it brings clarity. So what I have found from the testimonies is whatever area of your life is challenged, then that's the area it helps with, because my son's girlfriend took it home and burned it, and she cleaned the whole house and baked, and she hadn't baked in years. And she said, where is all this energy coming from? Let me blow this candle out. She said, I went and blew the candle out. And then I have other people that it helps them rest. I have a good girlfriend who her husband struggles with sleep. He uses it all the time to the point where she has to fight him when she gets home. So it brings clarity, it promotes creativity, it helps with stress. They say that it supports headaches and things like that. And God gave us aromas,
Yes.
and different fragrances for a different reason. I'm getting ready to do a teaching on that, but he gave it to us for different reasons to help us. It's just like medicine, not just like, but it's an aid to us from a natural ingredient. And so it has been doing very well. And right now we have 20% off for Valentine's Day. So they can go to myprayercandle.com and get the code for 20% off is FEB for February 20. And since you're on Jill Diamond Taylor's show, you get 20% off today as well.
Amen. I love it because I have been teaching a lot about self-care, and that is a wonderful spiritual, emotional, and mental practice. Lighting the candles and the aromas, that's an act of self-care. Getting
Amen.
better sleep, getting clarity in your thinking. The word of God says we're to be sober-minded.
Yes.
And so when our mind is clear of anxiety and worry and fear and shame and blame and all these toxic emotions, we do get a window of clarity to see what we're supposed to be doing, or to get up and clean the house, or whatever we need to do. So congratulations on your new product. And the website again is myprayercandle.com.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
myprayercandle.com. Now,
Yes.
what about your other platforms where they could reach you for Embrace Your Greatness, or your church, Destiny International
International.
Center? Mhm.
Yeah. So our website for our church is DICConline.com. So it's Destiny International Christian Center abbreviated, DICConline.com. And all of our information is there, and there are forms at the bottom of the screen you can fill out if you have a prayer request. And we have Sunday worship service on Facebook and YouTube. And embraceyourgreatness.org. That's my heart. That's
Yeah.
my, just to see people find the seed, because you have the seed of greatness and then grow it. That's really what it's about, just that seed of greatness, and understanding what that does. And that's why I also love the candle so much. I had one lady, and because everyone's different, and she said to me, she said, I left it on to run to the grocery store. I came back in the house, and she said, pass it on, the presence of God. So I just felt a calmness of the presence of God. So just, different things that we need, that there's a seed of greatness in us, and we all need something different to develop it. And so embraceyourgreatness.org, not .com, .org. And we'd love to just support you. And I just want to say before we close, listen, you need multiple. I probably invested $100,000 over the years in my development. And you want to take every program you can get for the areas in your life. So please look at everything Dr. Taylor has, because I've grown from it, everything that she offers. And you need multiple, things, tools, resources to help you get where you're going. And so I just want to encourage you to make an investment in yourself with the tools that you need.
Absolutely. And when you talked about the aromas, didn't I introduce you to peppermint oil?
You did listen, and I'm telling you that now everybody is on peppermint oil. Everybody is on peppermint oil. And so but there've been a lot of things that you have holistically, introduced to my life that have helped me to be able to, because I have to maintenance my body because of the cancer, because it was so aggressive. And so I do a lot of supplements. And guys, supplementing means to aid in a deficiency in your body. And you have to supplement because your body is designed to age. And age means that it's not producing what it did in your youth. That's why you age. And it's different things that do that, from collagen to, HTP to it changes. And so she is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to, that's what started my holistic journey. I was on this high grade vitamin C when I met Dr. Jewel, but she's added so many other different supplements and things to my life that have helped me and introduced me to holistic individuals. And so she's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to taking care of your temple the natural way. From toothpaste, with your deodorant, like she's got it all down.
Oh yes, all those self-care practices. But I love you and I appreciate you, and I know you're doing so much. And thank you for feeding the community with all your ministry, feeding the body and the soul. Thank you so much for all that you do. I can't wait to come back and visit with my East Coast family. God bless you, my dear. I'm so, so proud of you. Thank you for your time today. And audience, please reach out to Dr. Don Harvey. You will be so glad that you did. Thank you, everyone, for watching today. Please hit that share button and help us to spread the word. I love you, and stay in the light.